Awesome. It says we are being recorded tonight. How you doing there, Sparta Boss? Thanks for joining us last night. Hang out and just be patient. We'll be starting at 8 o'clock. We've got awesome information coming tonight, so be prepared. Hopefully everybody's going to bring their notebooks and pens. We'll be able to share some wisdom from people that are doing this. Hopefully mine will prove to be wisdom as I proceed to begin the process as I perceive it. So, and we'll talk about that more in the meeting. In the meantime, I'm going to head out and do a little bit of research here. I'm going to throw some YouTube music on. Hope you guys don't mind. Something to play a little bit in the background and while we wait.
Yo.
How you doing, brother?
All right, how you, bro?
Good. I was just telling you guys I'm going to throw some music on while we wait. We're going to start here about 12 minutes, looks like.
Gonna get jiggy with it.
Get jiggy with it? Hell yeah. We could get rid of these damn ads. All it can do is overtalk the goddamn things.
Oh, shit. You getting ad spam on your Zoom?
Now, I don't know if the AI is going to let you guys hear this or not, or if it's going to allow it in the recording or not.
What AI?
The sound recognition does the copyright recognition too.
What? Really?
Yeah, it's funny. I tried to do some videos with music in the background to cut the music out.
Huh. Interesting. I can't hear anything. I can't.
Pretty soon these things are all going to be having conversations all by themselves. And they're not going to need us at all, and they're not even going to remember us.
Yeah. Well, we just
and
cut
you know what?
off. I like to chat anyway.
What's the point of AI doing that? I mean,
well, I tell you what, guys, what we're getting to here in this day and age of technology with videos and pictures, literally, and comprehend this, people, I am not joking one bit. AI with CGI will put victims that aren't victims in crime scenes that aren't crime scenes, creating crimes and placing somebody as a perp.
What's that precog shit?
Just remember.
No, not even that. They'll create it. The CGI will computer generate a crime with victim, crime scene, and perp. And you won't even have been there. You can have as many eyewitnesses say that you weren't there all you want. They've got video that says you were.
Maritime tribunals on steroids.
Yeah, and it's all becoming electronic.
You sound upset.
No, I just, that's just my emotions about it because I know where it's going. And I need to import the pertinence to people to get off their damn couches, quit eating the processed glues and poisons and everything, quit sucking down all the poisons and people sit there and they hear these sirens and see the lights dance off their walls and stuff as they go by their windows. And so they get up from their couch, they put their food and drink down, they look out the window and they see somebody 2 blocks down the street getting hauled off in cuffs. The next night, they'll do the exact same thing and go right back to their goddamn couch. Pretty soon, you know it, somebody's knocking on their door and the lights and sirens are right out front of it. Don't know what to tell you. I'm trying to tell you now. But no, I'm the lunatic.
I'm pretty certain you're preaching to the converted in this group.
Oh yeah, I know. I have a following that seems to be awake, but I've got to be aware of the new guys too. You know, the people that are just starting out and realizing it, so that they can fully comprehend the import of it even farther than what they are at the beginning stages. Because once they realize that, maybe that'll help them spread the message and pay it forward too. You know, exponentiate.
I can only hope. And do my part.
Yeah, I can only hope. And that's why I tell people, you know, and it's part, Dave, I apologize. It's one of those things that actually distracts me from keeping on top of the PayPal and the Patreon stuff. And that is the fact, the simple, pure matter of the fact. I'm going to do this without any monetary system anyway. It's my duty. So, but I will work on remembering that stuff because I need it.
Well, it's your show, brother.
Yeah, I hope so. You know, that's, you know, above and beyond any kind of monetary compensation or reclamation or anything like that. My ultimate goal is just to help do the best I can at my duty to point out the fallacies, point out the actual crimes, and like Derek says, you know, observe, record, and report. You know.
Yeah, but you need Brad to do, you know, the basics and whatnot.
Yeah, that's why I say it's a doctrine of necessity.
Afford equipment that you need to do what you're doing better. You know, deliver to more people and so on.
Yeah, well, it's like you and I were talking. You mentioned the whiteboard or chalkboard. You know, I haven't. That would be a good help because there's a lot of times where I could put graphs out to show you how these banking transactions work through brokers and stuff. Because when you sign a check and you hand it over to somebody at the bank, they're acting as a broker. Okay. Now that broker is just like the durable power of attorney. In fact, when you assign to somebody to take care of your estate, you're doing the exact same thing. You're making an assignment. Well, how do you make an assignment? Well, that's the problem. You don't realize how you make an assignment, and that's what you're doing. Assignment. What did you mean when you signed a document?
Here's some damn
All
money.
relative. Did you mean to instrument? What did you meant? All basics of the words. I posted something here yesterday. It is with the content of the intent of the patent. What's a patent? It's to lay open. Well, what's the content? It's the satisfaction. What's the intent then? It's what you got to give consideration to. And if people really just paid attention to those words, I guarantee it'd make it a lot simpler. See, we got all these dictionaries and thesauruses and legal dictionaries and common law dictionaries and international dictionaries and religious dictionaries, and I don't care. Every last one of them goes on a definition, which is purely the opinion of another man. Nothing more. Why? Because the definition is based on your intent. In the beginning was Word. So I can say I can sit here and literally babble, and they will take it as babble, but when I clarify it, it will prove my intent. So according to them, the common English is babble. According to me, their babble is legalese. That's one of the things we're gonna discuss tonight with the Numident. Numident, the grapheme and phoneme.
Sound like chewing gum.
Say what?
So it sounds like chewing gum, Numident.
Yeah.
Did you see the letter that I sent you? The Numident?
Oh,
Demand?
yeah.
But, you know,
Man,
I
told you I like
modified it a little bit. Yeah, I modified it a little bit to make it painful for him.
Yeah. Under the pains and penalties of perjury, buddy.
Painful for who?
You know, the feds, the Social Security folks. We'll go into that another time. Keith has got something that is related to the subject at hand tonight.
Good show. Get it on, brother. Let's hear it.
Well, I want to make sure we get I told everybody we'd start at 8. My clock shows 7:57, so.
Oh, okay.
We're going to give them that fair chance to get on at 8, you know.
You got to cut this? Donna?
Say what?
I did? No. Yeah. No? So what? Oh, I thought y'all was going to put the whole roll or something. We were talking it through and it did the exact same thing, so that's why I kind of got all the glue out.
You got to get the word out sooner, brother. If you want to get one, you know what I mean? Like a day early, day before, announce you're going to do something
Well,
like this.
this is going to be a regular Thursday night meeting.
Right, I'm just saying though, set it up so you got 100 people waiting for you instead of 8.
Yeah. Well, that's why I say it's going to be a regular Thursday night meeting. It's also going to be. Let me find out what to do here.
You can mute everybody.
I'm going to mute everybody, guys.
And then just, or I guess I can unmute myself. We'll see. Try it.
Okay.
All right, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, but it should mute everybody. Mute all. Current new participants will be muted.
It did. It did mute me. I unmuted.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody can still unmute, but once they got something to say or you call on them or whatever.
Okay. All right. But yeah, the Thursday night meetings, I'm also going to I'm going to allow the people that can join in live, but I'm going to use it as one of those things that I'm not going to be posting on Facebook afterwards. The recordings from Thursday nights will be posted on my Patreon channel, because this is specifically, like I'm discussing tonight, the Numident and the name change. These are, when you hear what I have to say, you're going to realize the importance of making this your first step. Okay. I'm hoping Derek Gonzalez would join me. I'm going to see if I can, how do I invite somebody? Where we go here? Invite. Okay. Okay. I have an invite out to Derek, so hopefully he'll be joining us. But in the meantime, I want to get started here because, like I said, it's a very important subject. And in my opinion, my strong opinion, it is my theory that we start out with the Numident report. And again, I'll reiterate, I hope Derek comes on because he would be able to better explain this. This is where I got the information, and that is that we recently discussed the importance of doing the name change in regards to filling out the SS5 to correct it and sending it back to the Social Security Administration with an affidavit of notice of foreign state status. When he did it, they told him that he specifically needed to get a name change order from the court. Okay. And when he told me that, that's two of the main documents that we're trying to place in order to get the quote government, this corporation, to recognize, to cognize the reality of who we are. And the reason we're doing this is because they're basing everything on what's called a Numident report. And I'll get to that Numident report here in just a minute, because again, back to my theory is that if they're going to require, as it states on the application itself, if you check other in regards to citizenship, you have to include, according to the rules, a affidavit stating that separation, stating that you're an other and what that separation is. And that's your affidavit of your foreign state status. Well, then when he sends that in and they tell him that he's got to do the name change decree and get it ordered from the court, so that's two of them. So my logic says, well, why don't we just do one document with the age of majority, power of attorney in fact, name change decree, notice of foreign state status, copyright, trademark, patent. If you comprehend what a patent is, it's to lay open, and that means to place in the public. So all you have to do in reality is give a public notice of your private member association establishing that you are of age of majority. You do have durable power of attorney, in fact. You are a specific name. You do have a foreign state status established, and all of it is copyright, trademarked, patented. So you make this one document for the Social Security Administration correction through the courts under a name change decree as a general order. And no one can stand up and rebut it, just like they can't rebut the name change. They can't rebut the durable power of attorney in fact without asserting the proof in, on, or for the record as rebut. Same with the foreign status, same with the name change, all of it. So you create this one document, you go to court, you get it ordered, you send it in with the SS5 corrections with the public notice. Now, when you get the certificate of live birth, you have to authenticate that, and that's required to do the name change. In Iowa, it says. So we have to get the Numident report first, because Social Security Administration said that when you get a Numident report before the name change, they give you a Numident report of the decedent. When you do the name change decree, they give you a Numident report of the non-decedent, clarifying that there are two different reports. So tonight, when it comes to the Numident report, the Numident report stands for phonetically pronounce Numident. Num, separate the words. We're going to get into some etymology here. The root words. Num phonetically is spelled graphically N-U-M. So it could phonetically be N-U-M num or N-U-M num. It can't be gnome, it can't be name, it can't be nim, it can't be neem, anything like that. It's got to be num or num. That's the pronunciation of that particular grapheme. So we look at that and we think, well, is it number or numerical? It stands for one of them. And what does ident stand for? Ident stands for identity, identification, identifiable, something of that manner. So when you punch in Numident into our search engine, it brings us to the Social Security Administration clarifying that the Numident is the numerical identification system of the Social Security Administration. So the Numident report is something retrieved from them by the decedent before he corrects the SS5, because that's the classification they've got him under, or the Numident report of the non-decedent after he's corrected it, which would also indicate that they're two distinctly different reports. So in my theory, my process, before I've even started anything, I haven't gotten a birth certificate yet. I do have an SS5 application that I filled out to correct form. And before I go any further, I'm going to go ahead and get that authenticated certificate of live birth so that when I go to court with the document naming the name change, the copyright, the age of majority, power of attorney, and all of the foreign state status, and the public notice clarifying myself as a private member association, everything should be set. Now I should be able, through the authentication of the certificate of live birth, as we discussed here recently in 31 CFR, and I'll put this in the chat, 31 CFR, you can look this up and read it. You will see authentication. Look at the verbiage used in that authentication. Just punch in the 31 CFR 363.6. Punch that into your search engine, and when the window pops up, scroll down. It's going to be the Cornell site is the one you want. And when you scroll down, the second word on there is going to be authentication. The first one's going to be account. And remember, people, an account is a record. A record is the accounting of the timeline of events. It doesn't have so much to do with the names and numbers. It's the timeline. First in time, first in line. Okay? So when you look that up and you see what authentication means, it means that the person, the identification of the person that was established, or at the establishment of the Social Security account, is the same that now has provided access, authentication, or now has access. Read that and comprehend what that means. Okay, now, when we talk about the, where is it? Numident report, this here link, oops. There's a link that I'm looking at now. And if you scroll down and look at that, you'll see it's got all kinds of information it wants on there. Make sure you're accurate. Make sure it's correct. It says request for Numident printout. Complete and mail this form to. Make sure that you do it with a certified mail or registered mail. I think I would do registered mail. That's insured, international level. But you'll see it's got OEOFOIA work group. Come on. Well, let's just punch that in. OEO, Freedom of Information Act work group. Guess what, people? Freedom of Information Act, your access to total security administration information. If you look at this and you comprehend what's going on, the Freedom of Information Act gives you access to public information that the Social Security Administration provides. That's it. And this is because all of the information that the Social Security Administration has to do with is securities. Every signature. Is it on the public side or the private side? Think about this stuff, people. This is important. See back for fees. To process your request for a copy of your Numident report, we need you to provide the following information: name, social security number, date of birth. If you do not know your social security number, please provide the following information to the above address: name, date of birth, place of birth, mother's maiden name, father's name, sex. What's that sound like, folks? Does that sound like information on a birth certificate? Precedent to the antecedent social security number. Birth certificate has to be established first. The certificate of live birth has to be established next. It's a chain of custody. The federal government is the obligation, has obligation on all of it. Title 18 of the United States Code, Section 8, obligations and other securities of the United States. And the Social Security Administration is a state administration under federal regulation of securities. Plain and simple. So you can either fill out the name, social security number, date of birth, claiming that it is a copy, or that it's your social security number, which it's not. It's the number of your person. So if you want to fill this out correct, you put your name grammatically correct in the grapheme form, Keith - Orland : stop, space, little. Date of birth, it's not, and actually you can cross out name and put given. Cross out name and on top of it put given name. Date of birth, epoch of life. Thanks, Jeffrey. I love that one. Instead of date of birth, it's epoch of life. Beginnings. Place of birth. Nope. Place of something else, not birth. Place where born, something. And then, of course, mother's maiden name, father's name. Sex, none of their goddamn business. Period. Mailing address, of course you can put it in there, but there's only 2 lines there, so make sure you amend that. You want like a 4-line postal address. Daytime phone number you do not have to provide. I am the individual to whom the record pertains, or a person who is authorized to sign this letter on behalf of that individual. I understand that any false representation to knowingly and willfully obtain information from Social Security records is punishable by a fine of not more than $5,000 or 1 year in prison. And here it says sincerely. Down below it's got a line and then a space and then a line, and then below that it says signature and then date. Sincerely, we can put after sincerely something intelligent like signature guaranteed, not authorized signature. As we learned about the medallion stamp program, signature guaranteed. If you write the Numident, if you want the Numident printout of a non-program purpose, private, The charge is $16 if the SS number is known, and $18 if the SS number is not known. So there's a $2 difference if you don't know it. Now, if you do not know your Social Security number, you can put down below here a note somewhere or in the sidelines. Remember, we are the overwriters of the Social Security Administration's insurance underwriting, because that's what they've done. They've underwritten things, and that's why you have insurance underwriters. They are writing things under the original bond, which you all you have to do is overwrite their insurance documents, forms, papers, instruments. Wisen up, people. Learn the words, graphemes, phonemes, phonic sounds, the differences thereof, all that stuff. It's important, you know. So just realize what you're doing here, though. Just put a little note in the side marks here. Social Security number of my person is known. It is as follows. It is as assigned on the card that I hold in due course of being the intended recipient. Sounds logical to me, and they're all simple words. I think a lot of people, and I did this myself, they get overworked in it and their emotions. And it sidetracks you from the reality of the situation. The only thing to fear is fear itself. When you start implementing your research into learning things by experiencing them, by practicing them, so you can gain the wisdom of those experiences, so you can put forth a better experience next time you do it. We need to do this stuff, people. And it says you may pay by check, money order, or MasterCard, Visa, Discover, American Express, or Diners Club credit card. Payment should be enclosed with this request. It says should. It doesn't say has to, must, shall, may. It says should. Well, I can't pay. I can include, however, a document giving verifiable information that is already in, on, and for the record. So a subpoena ducis tecum is not required. As it's written, so shall it be. Claimant's exemption of fees. Is this not a charge? Is that not known as a fee? Do I not have a right of discharge, which you are not recognizing until I correct this Numident record and such? Yeah. See that, because that's what it is. This is a false record. My brother Jeff put out a very good document pertaining to this, pointing things out. And they will recognize it. They will recognize the error of their ways. And this is all very important. So, yeah, I like that, David. Inception date. Exactly. Okay. So anyway, this is a form that you can find online. I gave you the link. And when we're creating these, when we're overriding these documents, I think what we need to do is we need to get used to the fact that we are creating these. Anytime we take a document from them, we have to comprehend the commercial aspect of offer and acceptance. Okay, this here is a request for Numident printout. Okay, that means they're offering you the availability of a document upon request. So you accept that offer. Now that you have accepted the offer of the offerer, you now have the ability to amend the contract, terms and conditions, by placing your own conditions on it. It's called conditional acceptance. So what you do is you accept it, put your conditions on it by overwriting, line item through things, and then writing over what was crossed out, bringing it back to the reality that what the superiority of the way these documents work is that the handwritten supersedes that which is typewritten. Typewritten supersedes that which is printed. Printed supersedes that which is electronic. Electronic supersedes that which is vocal and only electronically recorded. There's a timeline. This didn't come along until after we were able to print it out somehow. Printing it out didn't come along until after we were able to type it up. Type it up didn't come along until after we were able to handwrite. And handwriting didn't come out until we were able to verbally speak something. So it's very important to realize what mathematics has to do with this. And a lot of it really doesn't have so much to do with the facts in the accounting, but the timeline of the accounting. Comprehend this stuff, people. It's the epoch. So let's talk about the epoch converter. When we're creating these documents by overwriting them, there I posted a link in the comments, the chat, and that'll take you to the page I am looking at now. Epoch and Unix timestamp conversion tools. So that when you make these documents by accepting them and placing your conditional acceptance upon there, you also place your epoch timestamp. And this is an epoch and Unix timestamp conversion tool, and I recommend you learn how to use that. It'll show you what the current Unix epoch time is, and that's a digital number that you can use as identifying number of the timeline and when you create your documents. It's very useful. Now who's the keeper of the records? Okay. Okay, I'm going to close that one out. Okay. And here we go. This is Social Security Numident codes acronyms. And these have some interesting acronyms in there. I haven't gone over them all, but I'm hoping I've got a crew that can help me figure out what some of these other internal codes are, so that we can better expose the fraud. Because there's one particular one in here, you'll see that the guy is talking about the CLD, and it doesn't show it in here in their list of these Numident acronym codes, yet they use it in their paperwork. And so we've got to find out what that is. And as far as I know, it stands for chronic liver disease. And remember, folks, we are talking about insurance, and we do know we're lab rats. Oh, my God. Despite all my rage, I am still just a rat in a cage. So think about this stuff, people. Do your research. Help me in the research. And one of these days, we will figure it out. In regards to your genealogy and stuff, this link here that I'm putting in the chat, you'll like this. This one here is in regards to decedents. If you have relative information that you need, like I said, the Numident report has in regards a report public information. which is why it's the Freedom of Information Act that they mentioned back there in that other link. And under that Freedom of Information Act, you have right to all public information. All public information stems from the Numident report. Guess where all that private information on the Numident report belongs, and proves that there are two separate sets of information. Just like they can't give that private information to a member of the public. That means they can't give it to anybody. So there is a private report. And that's part of uncovering all this fraud. We need to realize this stuff. Let me see. And here, this, I want everybody to realize the importance of this link here. Look at this link and tell me why the Numident death records are at the National Archives. Why is there a census? Starts out from birth. That's the origination of your Numident as originally assigned. The IMF. So who's the IMF? Didn't we discuss this the other night?
The International Monetary Fund.
Got it. Now, why has the International Monetary Fund got National Archives of American Nationals through Numident death records from Social Security Administration?
Because it's required under military occupation that they know who is occupied.
Exactly. And what are occupations? Accountants, lawyers, tax agents,
Doctors,
insurance agents,
doctors,
teachers, doctors, automobile dealers, automobile manufacturers,
bakers,
Department of Motor Vehicles,
We gotta hand
Department of
that
Transportation. They all, every last one of them, is violating your right to ingress and egress. Okay? Now I'm going to open the board here. I'm going to unmute everybody. People that have background noise, please mute yourself. And who wants to speak? Who needs to get what off their minds? Questions, answers. You give them, you query them. I will do my best to answer them.
All right, I'll level set the epoch time for everybody. Epoch time was determined to be January 1st, 0000 hours, 1970, 1970. That's when someone decided that computers needed to keep accurate time to the microseconds. And therefore, when we look at an epoch time vis-a-vis Unix time, we're talking about milliseconds or microseconds, actually milliseconds for the most part, since that event took place. So if you're born before 1970, your epoch time will have a negator in front of it, a negative sign. Mine is -493, blah, 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 blah. If you're born after 1970, it will not have a minus sign. If you care to take your own birth time and use it for some purpose, then you just look that up. I have used epoch time as a serial number to create securities based upon the time in which I created the security. So if I need to create a security and I want to give it a unique number, well, the epoch time to seconds is 9 digits. The epoch time to milliseconds will be 12 digits. So if I put JE and then the current epoch time, then whether I'm doing it by seconds or milliseconds, I need 9 and 12 digits. I just throw it into the epoch generator and it will give me the time. I screenshot that image, which shows me the time I created it and what it related to, and I put that away in my records. It's a cheap and dirty, nice way to be able to generate a 9-digit number that you know exactly what it means.
Real quick here, just a quick note. You use that as security number, and that's placed in the top right-hand corner of the front page of your document, and then down at the bottom of each page of your document?
It depends. I happen to take my birth time, and I always put it down the bottom left-hand corner so that the security number does not match my birth number. My records will say a certificate, no, that's a affidavit of whatever, what's called affidavit of service. I'll name it AOS dash, because mine is a negative number, the 9 digits, dash 001, 002, and I keep a list of what that document was based upon that index. However, if I'm creating a security number, that goes in the top right-hand corner, because a security requires a unique serial number that can be basically tracked through the public trading desks. So I would then put JE or whatever I choose to with the first leading 2 characters, the current epoch time to seconds, and then I might put dash whatever, 2 more characters. And they will be the likelihood of anyone else in the world ending up creating that number, unless they're doing it intentionally, is someplace to the 10 to the plus 32. It's a huge number.
Yep. Yeah, pretty much. It's like these new graph codes. You used to have the barcodes. Now they've got these little square graph codes. It's pretty much impossible to duplicate that thing. They're pretty much by operation of law securitizing its own number. Anybody else? Because you know how important this is, guys. This is when we go back and we correct this stuff, like I said, with the authentication, when you look at that definition under that 31 CFR, it tells you right there. It's the process of verifying that the person that's accessing the TDA account is the same person as that when the account was established. And it's all in reference to the Social Security account.
Well, Keith, I'm not so sure I agree that I think the Social Security number is actually secondary to the nativity moment, meaning that, as it turns out, for those of you who don't know my situation, I was placed upon a certificate of live birth where my given name is JEFFERY. 14 years later, we went to get a Social Security number because I thought we needed to have one, and my mother put down JEFFREY because that's what she believed that she did all these years. They accepted said second name, never challenged it, and took it. So basically, I ran through 60 years of my life, or actually say 55 years of my life, believing that it was JEFFREY. And then one day I decided to get, well, married. And guess whose name didn't match the Social Security number, the name. So in my case, because it was not generated at the time of my birth, which is becoming the norm now, the first thing would have been the certificate of live birth, that name, and then the one Social Security. They had to, at some point, tie the Social Security to the other name. In fact, when I went to get a passport, I couldn't at first. They said, well, you can't do this. You're going to have to go get a court order to change it. I said, well, I've gone through my entire life, REY. And now there's this dichotomy here that says, you know what the woman behind the counter says? Don't worry about it. Just put the other one down as an alias someplace.
I was just going to say, it's funny how they told you had to get a name change.
Well, what it is, it's another
when on their
derivative.
application, it's just other names used.
Right.
It's just another derivative, though. We have many derivatives under our actual names.
Exactly.
So the first
so
thing
they were calling out an error that was completely acceptable if it was intended.
The first one is our COLB number without the dashes. That's known as through the master file record. And
yeah, the exemption account or exemption identification number.
That's the main routing number.
We have inside of another group that they'll be happy to bring to bear here, probably the premier individual that can tell you everything about the IMF file. And the IMF file is not the International Monetary Fund. It is the file that's kept on the person, which is, in fact, the individual master file. And there are 6 modules. And that's a discussion for
that's under the IRS.
It's under the IMF actually.
Well, yes, it goes through that, but what I'm saying
is the IRS is the IMF watchdog.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
Yep, correct. That's another rabbit hole to go down another day.
Yeah.
That's all.
Well, awesome information, Jeff. We appreciate that, because it's pertinent to be able to, not just do these documents, but give them a way to recognize it in a language that they will speak. It's called legalese. It's your own style.
Oh, by the way, for those, I did the Numident ID, and I overrode it, as Keith would call it, and it's been 100 days without a response.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to have to basically.
There's a reason for the delay. Right now, currently, the DOD is requesting Numident numbers because they're preparing for a draft or a potential draft. And so the DOD is requested for the Social Security Administration Office to provide a substantial amount of Numident reports. And because of that, you'll be 60 to 90 days out and possibly longer in order to get a response. I'll yield the floor.
Thanks, Derek.
I thought that maybe I would basically default them for not having responded because failing to respond is a federal crime.
Correct.
Under
but you
what?
never know. We got that damn Emergency War Powers Act.
Yeah, under what is it? What is it a crime under?
I'm going to have to go look it up. It's basically five. Actually, in my particular, because I bring it to highlight. So if you guys continue, I'll go look at the document that I showed Keith last night.
Yeah, cool. We're here. We're here.
I'll tell you guys a form you can use to get your Numident too. It's a L998, I believe. Let me.
Yeah, I
look it up
ran
here
across
right
something
quick.
there too.
I'll give it to you guys. Let's see here. Bear with me a second. I'll mute up.
What'd you say that form number was?
It says L998, but he's looking.
A second, brother, and I'll give it to you.
preparing for a draft. Holy crow.
All right.
Personnel security investigation request.
It's the SSA L996. And when you pull it up, it says Social Security number request for certified copies of extract, photocopies, and indentures. $63 included is what you got to pay for it. Mail to the Office of Central Records Operation, Baltimore, MD, 21235.
And
Was that?
the form number again, please?
Yes, the form number is the SSA-L996. And you actually can't find it online. I'll send it to Keith and go that way with it. It's not.
I got it.
Did you find it?
Yeah, Social Security number record request for extract or photocopy.
Yeah. Let me. This one says it'll take up to 4 to 6 weeks for a reply, and but we know after contacting them recently that DOD has requested a substantial amount of Numident reports, and because of that, it could be up to 3 months or longer before you're going to get a response. Now, there's a difference. If you haven't done your if
that thing is that nice. Oh my God, does that thing work great? It's quiet.
Sorry, guys.
If you haven't done your name decree yet, it'll be the decedent Numident report. If you've done your name decree already, you need to get a live Numident report. And the live Numident report you will find nowhere in the books. A buddy of ours actually called down there and got the spoke to a Social Security agent, and she said that yeah, you applied for the decedent Numident report, and we can't give that to you because that entity isn't a decedent anymore. And he asked, well, what do I need to do in order to get the Numident report? She says, you're looking for a live Numident report. And I'll send that video over to Keith as well, and he can share that with you guys.
Which is the certificate of live birth?
What's that?
Which is of the certificate of live birth? You almost reminded me, for example, I was talking about something to a friend of mine earlier of the Form 966, which was to dissolve the trust and so forth. But yeah, that was like, whoa, it's crazy.
Yeah, I don't think anybody wants to dissolve anything until they get their 98 EINs and their 84s set up.
Yeah.
Trust. You got to have somewhere for the accounting to go when you.
I'm all set. I'm all set. I got the numbers.
Yeah.
Do you?
They're ready to receive.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, Dave's ready to rock and roll. We've about got this busted. He's already got access to the TDA account. They told him specifically, and I'm going to quote him. This is what he told me. They said, "Sir, you're no longer subject to intercept."
I've been using that for years, but
yeah,
you know.
Do you guys know what that subject to intercept is? The only place you will find the entire U.S. code mentions subject to intercept is in regards to the judicial administration. That tells us that all this commerce is subject to judicial intercept, and that's why the entire judicial branch is nothing but commerce.
Mm-hmm. I've been using their routing numbers and so forth for years, so I don't give a shit. You know me.
No shit.
Yeah. See, and that's the way we're supposed to, because those routing numbers are actually ours.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be creating those routing numbers, not specifically the routing. The way I see this is working. You've got a PMA with a private trust.
Well,
now that private trust doesn't have an account. There is no account. He has a contract with the bank to act as an agent, a trustee, a broker.
Well, here's the way a lot of times people look at it. Basically, I think it's like they think that the numbers on the back of their Social Security card, for example, right? The number and the letter, what have you, which goes to A through L to one of the 12, Federal Reserve banks, right? They think they've got to use that number and so forth. So no. It's like saying, oh, I've got an ATM card, but I can only use one number or one place. I can go one place. I live over here in Georgia, but I got to go to California to get this, that, or the other. No, it's bullshit.
It's universal.
All you got to look for, yeah, it's universal. And all you got to do is look for if they do, what is it? They do settlements, and if they do, if they put a yes on settlements and a yes on yes, they do accept ACH and so forth, then yes, we're good to go. It's worked every single time.
Sean, you said you've been using numbers for years.
Yep.
What, man?
For what?
You paying your bills with the
all types of shit.
No shit.
No shit.
Fucking hey, dude. Like just paying your utility bills or
I get all kind of products, all kind of shit. I'll sell them and what have you, and whatever, I do what I can.
Yeah. I guess I'm not following you because I thought you said you were using PD Treasury Direct routing numbers.
Yeah.
To do
what? And people accept that stuff, so yes.
Well,
did
you see that? You remember that check the picture of the check I showed you, Dave?
Yeah, brother.
Okay. You remember how the top it said no account?
Yeah.
Okay. I want people to comprehend here.
The last one, by the way, was $606, so that should give you an idea.
For who?
$606.
606?
The last one.
To where? To who?
Kind of private.
Yeah, see that's the problem.
I mean, I could get it and actually show you if I could. I think it's right over there. But the point being is,
Well, what you said you've been doing is uncommon.
Is what?
Uncommon.
Uncommon.
It's still uncommon, and you've been doing it all along.
That's what's supposed to be done.
Well, I know. Yeah. I know.
Hey, you remember that picture of the check I showed you earlier, Dave?
Yeah.
He's been to the UN twice. He's been doing this quite a long time. And if you look at the construct of the check, you'll notice at the very top it says no account. It's not a bank account. Comprehend this. It's a contract with the bank. Okay.
Roger.
And what his position is he's got a private member association, private estate trust. And he's made a contract with a broker to perform a transaction. That transaction has to have assignments. It has to, the duties that he's required to do. Those duties are as a trustee. He's making this broker liable. He's no longer liable. And in the formation, remember, this is very important. The information that's on that piece of paper of the contract says no account, so it's not an account. It's not a record. It's an instrument. Okay? When the bank has you go fill out for an account, that's what you get is a record. That's it. You get an accounting of your transactions, and it's given by because you're an authorized signer. You get authorized signature by the bank that gave you authority to do so. Well, so that same authority limits the records that they're going to give you, unless you're in the proper capacity. They're going to be the ones that are going to draft and draw the instruments from that point on. If you carry the correct capacity, you're the executor. You execute by drafting up the order to pay and transferring it to the broker who is now liable to do the transfer.
I mean, we really already have it, but the thing is, there's so many things that people don't realize. For example, when they pay with a credit card or when people pay with debt notes and so forth, a check, it doesn't matter. they're underneath, they're going to cancel that out because you paid in debt. You paid a debt with the debtor tried to. And the FDIC, for example, is going to pay for that under their insurance policy and so forth. They're going to pay for that, and they're going to put you under dishonor every time you pay for the, and we don't even know this stuff.
Yep. Exactly.
And there's so much, it's not just double dipping, it's double dipping, triple dipping, quadruple dipping, and so forth, you know?
Yeah, it's 30
It's
year
insanity.
maturity date.
So Sean, you've been doing this for a while with no.
Who's?
Sean, so you've been doing this stuff for years with no reversals. Yeah. You gotta unmute, brother.
Yeah, correct. My phone was ringing. Sorry about that.
Man, that is so cool.
I was getting a call.
Well, I'm ready to start doing that myself. A lot of us are.
Yeah, yeah. We just got to make sure that we're doing things proper. And
I mean, I can tell you stories. I mean, for example, I did actually, if you want, well, I don't know if you want to say buy, but I did do the Tesla thing years ago. You know, this was years ago. And the thing about it, I had, you can even check this out if you want to, with Jonathan in New York. I'm trying to think of his last name, Jonathan New York from Tesla. And I had built up everything to the top degree, the highest degree, you know. And it was, it came to $200,000 anyway. And so this went on for over, let's see, 3 or 4 months span at least. And I was talking with some friends, you know, like yourself, and it was like they gave me the first confirmation. I got a second confirmation. I got a third, and I was like, man, this is crazy, you know. But then after a while, I talked with this guy, Jonathan from Tesla, New York, and he's like, Sean, this, that, and the other, there, somehow it went back and it kicked back or what have you, and said that da 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 da. I said, well, think about it here, Jonathan. I think you're in dishonor here because you've given me my first confirmation, my second one, and my third. And it's been what, over 3-4 months now, and you're just now contacting me? He goes, oh, he started stuttering. He said, Sean, let me get with my legal team and give you a call back. I said, okay, Jonathan, I think you may need to do that. I never received a call back, and I was talking to one of my friends, you know, and I was like, I don't know, I won't call back so badly, but this has been years ago, of course. I wanted to call back so badly and just, you know, push it, but I was like, yeah, you know, screw it, whatever. But, you know.
So the call was about what? You're going to try and reverse you or what?
Yeah, pretty much, because it was $200,000 vehicle that they had, that I had custom ordered, you know. I custom ordered the seats. I custom ordered the color on it, everything down to the last minute, you know. I got the highest powered batteries on that sucker and everything else, you know. I got it to the highest degree, so.
Yeah, why not?
What do you do? I mean, you know, if you're go out big. Yeah, go big.
Exactly.
New Bugatti, man. Shit.
Yeah,
you know,
brother.
here's the thing. I would have went Bugatti or Bentley or something else, or, you know, Lamborghini, something. But the thing about it is, you don't see a whole lot of them saying we accept ACH, which is automatic clearinghouse. Now, here's the thing about ACH that I must get to you real quick. It doesn't have a 21-day period for it to go through. It doesn't even have a 3-day banking period to go through. What does it have? It's automated, automatically, goes through automatically.
Yep. I was talking about that in 31 CFR 363 as well. It's all electronic.
Yes, and it's AI. And anytime you get a supposed reversal, it's a bullshit supposed reversal.
I've thought about going into a dealer and filling out an application. I know I'll be approved, and then go on a permanent test drive.
Well, you know, there's a system on doing that too, and going through, but you have to you get the sticker price and get the sticker itself, and then you get the 1040V. Patrick and I were talking about it like years ago, and the 1040V. And Patrick did that, but the thing about it, I think Patrick got a older vehicle or something. But anyway, I mean, he still did it. But yeah.
You're talking about with the MSO, right? You didn't register nothing, right? You just got it with the MSO.
No, that actual sticker that's on the actual car, you know.
Bill of sale, bill of lading.
The bill of lading, bill of sale. But that's not the actual CFO. It's not the CFO, but the CSO and everything. They never want to give you that, so you have to write up for that later on and everything else. But yeah.
So you can't ever drive off with that.
But supposedly now, he said that you go in, and I've been wanting to do this so bad. He said you go in, and they're going to have the 1040Vs, which is for the voucher, on hand. And if they don't, you can download them or what have you from, you know, the actual dealership. So.
No shit. They'll have 1040V pre-filled.
Well, it's not. I don't think it's not pre-filled or anything, but you know, it's there for the. That they're supposed to know about that, so you can fill it out in the correct form, and he shows about the way to fill it out. I don't think it's very hard to fill out either.
I've never even heard of that. You know.
And there's several things we also talked about, like the EIN numbers. There's a lot of EIN numbers. It's not just the ones that we think are like the 98 and so forth and so on. The CLB without the dashes is actually EIN number. The Social Security number without the dashes is an actual EIN number and so forth.
Yep.
You know, and actually goes down to the driver's license number without any dashes, so forth. A lot of people, though, they try to, in many states, in which I think they did that to me years ago when I had one, which is back at, I think I had one 2003 is last time I had a driver's license, but they converted the driver's license over into the actual Social Security number, so it would be the same. Anybody else done that, or they did that to you?
Not in New Jersey. New Jersey is still a unique number.
Sean, you gotta go. You gotta get you a couple GoPros, man, and go buy a new car tomorrow.
I was hoping Melvin would have joined us tonight. This is a young brother that helped a gal here a while back in Mississippi go in and took the loan document, like I explained, did the overwriting. And
I'm sorry, I meant acquire, not buy.
Right. And he changed the loan document into what's known as a letter of credit. Now, they didn't want to give him the car right away. They approved it. And then when they went back the next day to get the car, they said no. But then a week later, after, you know, giving him another notice and everything, they did turn around and evidently give him the car. Got a video of her driving off the lot. So I don't know what the deal is there. But
you know, the thing too, Keith, is that we talk about contract a lot, but anything like that, like you just mentioned, a loan or what have you, that's a contract in itself, of course. And who is the only one signing it usually? It's usually us is the only one to sign it. So it's a unilateral contract. But past that point, if you were to get a loan document, for example, you do realize you have the ability to actually change that document, rewrite that document to your standards, what have you, then send it back to them and so forth.
Yeah, that's basically what he did.
Yeah.
Right there on the spot. And it's called a letter of credit.
Well, the letter of credit, I was going to say that the letter of credit itself is a different write-up, but yeah, I get what you're saying now. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's why I mentioned he accepted their offer for honor based upon his letter of credit. Says it's credit extended from him.
Yeah. And then remember we talked about too last time that you write up the letter of credit and take the CLB, get copies of the CLB, and you can also go to banks and so forth and actually pull out money. But you're going to have a reason business-wise, just the same thing if you were to have a black car, white car, what have you.
Right.
To say, hey, I need this amount of money, and here is the reason, what have you, and your CLB along with the letter of credit.
Yeah. And as
Without a
Derek and I
trust?
discussed there's certain verbiage that we can be using on this
There's
stuff.
already a trust set up.
Right. And
Yeah.
that's why
On a
that's
trust.
why
So
they
you're
have
just
the
You can, yes.
So when you have the authenticated birth certificate, COLB, you're taking the position of the executor of the trust, and therefore you're ordering. So if I go and cut a deal with a guy for a ranch out in Montana at $3 million, and I have a reason to do this, I can take my certificate of live birth that is fully authenticated, that contract with that individual, and they should, in fact, pay that individual.
Yes.
Right.
And it's also,
Holy
for instance,
shit.
it's also, for instance, just like I spoke about last time when we were on here about the guy years ago that I spoke about that looked over a real estate house with land and so forth. And he didn't want to know the price. And every time the lady kept saying, well, you know the price? And no, I don't want to know about the price or anything like that. But after they got everything, he said, you know what, I don't care what you want this. See, this is the thing about it that people have to also realize. It doesn't matter what the price of the land, the house, the car, whatever is. We actually have the ability to do so many things. But anyway, he said, here's my business card. He handed it to her. And he said, just send me all the documentation to my home or my business, whatever he said. And once he got that, he did an acceptance on it and so forth, and actually got the house with the actual land. I think it was like a large acreage with a nice big house. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm doing. That's where I'm going. And you just told me essentially, I've already put myself in the position of the executor.
Yeah. And people, I want to point out here real quick. Jeffrey said something very important there. In this commercial system, they use the word demand. We don't do demands. We command. We order.
That's
so
right.
as executor, like I said, we order. And when we do that, we have to draft. We create the order to pay. Then in that order, we have to do the assignments. We have to clarify the names, purposes, which is intents, dollars, dates, duties, and then we pass that as the contract to the trustee. You're going to assign your bank as the trustee. You're acting on the private side, and he's a trustee as a broker in finance.
And also to mention, always tax exempt on the private side.
Say what?
Always tax exempt on the private side.
Yep.
Yes. And when we do this stuff, in regards to the style of the way we sign it, we no longer sign authorized or by. We sign signature guaranteed. Signature guaranteed takes you to the finite element of sovereignty, in that you need nobody to authorize you because you guarantee it yourself.
Or, you know, there's many little things too. It's like, for instance, the sign your name, comma, agent, is your agent for the proverbial fiction.
Right.
You know?
There's different styles.
Yeah.
And there's different ways you can do it. Make sure you know what you're doing.
Non-assumptive, non-amenable.
Non-assumptive. Yep.
Via cooptus.
What in what situations would you need an underwriter? Sean. Sorry.
What?
Either or.
When would you need an underwriter?
Yeah.
As in?
Just transacting business, like maybe trying to finance. You're going to build 200 houses on 100 acres.
Build 200 houses on 100 acres.
Yeah.
That would be something I would have to sit and think about for a while, to be honest with you. It's not something I could just
set up a trust for it and do a letter of credit. Do that.
Well, definitely. I think it would be more than just a, I don't know. I could, you got some things that I could bring out. I mean, it's like, it reminds me of the old white card. Remember the 6 social security numbers I spoke about, for instance, Keith?
Yeah.
To get a white card, you had to have 6 social security numbers. And how are you going to get 6 social security numbers?
Really?
A trust, of course.
Is that the white card thing you're talking about?
Yeah, white card is way above the black card, and then above the actual white card is supposedly the purple card, but I'll be damned if you can find a lot of information on that.
With the by a whole country, right?
Yeah, probably. A lot
The
of
purple
cases.
card, you're the one standing there handing out the account book. We're going to keep the record record.
Man, that would be badass. That would be...
Well, that's what your private membership association is, guys. We just got to start on a lower level. You know, we instead of getting a card from somebody else or a white card from somebody else or a purple card from somebody else, imagine if we just come up with our own goddamn card.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you know, here's a thing here too, and
monetary.
You know,
here's something I hope right.
Banker.
Here's something right here that I hope is going to enlighten minds like crazy, because you need to think on this level. Okay, you ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hit me, baby.
Now we can look all over the whole entire world because it's being done, but let's just look here in America just for a little a very good example. Let's look at all of who has bought up for many years now, all the motels, the hotels, the convenience stores, and so forth around everywhere.
I wish it was me.
Now, who is that though? Does anybody know?
the Arabians.
A bunch of Indians.
It's the Indians from India, but they are one family, supposedly, which are known as the Patel family.
Yeah.
Now, this Patel family has many trusts that are written up, and that's how they come over and they buy up all of these hotels, these motels, the convenience stores, and everything else, and they buy them for pennies on the dollar. And I think it's something like, I want to say 10 years without paying any type of taxes. And then once they do that, they also switch it over to another individual within the trust or another trust. And then they just cap the
successor trustees.
It's insane how this is done.
Yeah, research successor trustees, guys. Learn how to use them.
What I was speaking about the other day to some friends of mine that are like you guys, I said, why can't we do the same damn thing?
We can.
But nobody's doing it. That's the problem. Nobody wants to group together. I mean, we do, but we don't, if you know what I mean. You know, it's hard to,
well, I'm not so sure that that's it's the case with the folks that I'm starting to deal with.
You mean
I'm
set up
seeing
our
a
own
different class of people.
Yeah, I think a lot of us here tonight are the same same reality.
Cut from the same cloth, eh?
Yeah. I hope.
You just remember that all those birds of a feather standing on that electric wire are all going to get zapped at the same time. They all get wet.
Only if you touch two lines now.
Well, no. When you get all wet, don't worry about it. It's going to get you anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's absolutely right. Just enough humidity will do it.
Okay, so back to the Numident. When we're doing our research, guys, it's been a great conversation, and I want to make sure that everybody gets to realize before they're or with their real eyes, because what it's all about is the phonemes and graphemes, and when it comes down to that phonemes and graphemes, it's just one minute aspect of all the different communications that we take in every day and put out every day. But it's one of the most important aspects we need to start paying attention to in these words and expressions.
Yeah, I was about to say, what about
learn
that
how
word
to draft our own stuff?
And what about that word Numident in by itself? Numident is name, numero, name, number. They both mean the same thing. Name is number, number is name. And another thing that should be acknowledged is the word dent. Dent means teeth. Teeth in you.
Yeah, a couple different ways to do that. Yeah.
It's just like identity. Not a lot of people now. A lot of people laugh at me when I speak about this because I came out with it many years ago and I noticed what they were doing. Just like on the driver's license. The driver's license, they're not putting the apostrophe on the D, which is in French. It's the D means of the, and L, if it was an L apostrophe, it means the. You have the, which is, for instance, Keith, that would be you, the Keith, L apostrophe Keith, the Keith. Or you could have D apostrophe Keith, which means of Keith, which would mean your son, daughter, what have you. You get what I'm saying? But that, for instance, is on the river license, a D apostrophe river license. Now this goes into the same thing of identity. You can put that word in so many ways. Dent meaning T, of course, but I hyphen D apostrophe of the entity. I have the entity. I have the entity. You see? And then you have also, what is the I apostrophe dent? They have their teeth into you. I tie, that you're tied to. They got their teeth into you and you're tied to it.
Yeah.
And there's so many ways on that.
Yeah. And that's why I say we got to question everything. Back to that CLD. You know, I believe it stands for chronic liver disease, but the guy questioned in that, and if you read the links, you'll see it. The guy questioned whether that what that acronym stood for, because it had a whole list of them, but they didn't include that one. Yet they used it.
Oh yeah, you watch these commercials, for example, on which I barely do, but you hear this stuff. You could have a DBT or a CBG or whatever, you know, these three-letter
the medical,
Which three-letter
Ask your
acronym
doctor
do you have? Ask your doctor about fill in the blank.
Yeah.
Which way would you like to be poisoned?
Yeah, special propaganda, indoctrination, medication advertising.
Insanity.
What can we fuck you up with now?
So yeah, it's
oh my goodness, you guys are...
Maybe you should ask your doctor about.
Take patient is a good picture.
Hey Sean, I have one quick question.
Do not take. Those are the best words in their disclaimer. Those goddamn commercials. Do not take.
Right? You know what's funny? This one kills me right here. If you're allergic to Avantin, don't take Avantin.
Yeah. What do you say,
It's
Jeff?
like, really?
I'm curious, does Sean get his name decree?
Nope.
Or when they sneak in unexpected death.
But I did I did sort of take over that. Well, I did take over the United Nations, United States of America, and the counties and everything else, even up to the governor. They're my creditor. I mean, they're my debtors, and I'm the creditor too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Remember, in these court cases and stuff, they're naming you as trustee. If that's the case, then remember it's a co-trustee position. You're the creditor trustee. The state is the debtor trustee, and therefore, in your position, if you do it correctly, you can step right out of that trustee position, claim that executorship, and order the motion of the court. Not motion the order of the court, but order the motion of the court.
Alter the motion of the court.
Yes.
Because the waves, the one of the currency. Yeah, you know,
it's scary that we can sit here and have all of these inside jokes about these words, and we actually get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's one of those things because we're so much more open-minded. We can see it literally, literally in many terms.
People would tell you,
a couple of times I wanted to do the Schultz. Nothing.
I see nothing.
I can tell you so many stories. I'm pretty sure I've told you a few, Keith, but the stories of me in court and stuff, and different times of me being even forced to go in there and then I'd walk in and do different things. I learned to just go in and say, okay, I'm here now. Are you going to be paying a check or money order? They hate that shit. They hate it.
Yeah, really.
They do. They hate that shit.
Yeah, I need to get a full accounting.
Right, exactly. I need a full accounting.
He's on the keeper of the records.
Sit down with your banker and tell him you're here to make them a loan.
Do I need to bring my banker? Do I need to bring my broker?
Well, here's the thing about it. You can actually go online and see publicly that they're my debtors and I'm the creditor to them too. So it's not like they can go deny it or anything, you know. So it's like here you go. Because I keep some in my wallet also. You know, I just photocopy the shit out of them and keep them in my wallet.
Yeah.
I got a few of them in my wallet.
What, FRNs?
No, for example, just the you know, you got the private side, you got the public side, and so forth and so on. Well, I know this one is old and it does look old, but yeah, it's all crinkled and shit. But there she goes. You know, the debtors, United Nations, United States, State of Georgia, County of Carroll, Governor Purdue. You know?
No shit.
There you go. Yeah, he patented that shit.
That'd get you out of a pinch, wouldn't it?
It can indeed, yeah.
Yeah. Haven't had to use it yet, have you?
Actually, quite a few times, but you
It's
know,
like,
I haven't had to enforce it, I guess I could say. And yeah.
Yeah,
it's like having Jimmy Hoffa's.
Well,
business,
that's
right?
the point, right? The
exactly.
Yeah,
hammer over their
yeah.
head is more effective than hitting them once.
Yeah, pretty
Why
much.
don't you get me a Jimmy Hoffa business card?
But you know, we do want to get paid, and this is why we come up with these. Well, it's not one reason. I mean, it's one reason we do anyway. Come up and get in these groups and so forth, because we're oh man, there's so many things. It just boggles the mind, because we could talk about this all day. But the thing about it, they have made it so complicated, and plus they've changed chess pieces over to here, there, and so forth. They're not going to make it easy, you know. And it's
Yeah. We were just talking about that today, me and my roommates. You know, it's why we've got to stay on top of this stuff, because as the years go by, the wording and legislation has changed on us. And as we come along and we find a remedy, all of a sudden the laws change and it cuts off that remedy. And that's why it's so important to comprehend that there's more than just one way of doing this. However, I believe what we're doing here in our discussion tonight, at least, is giving hope that there is a solution to cover everything, but you have to know what you're doing. You have to do your research, and you have to do it step by step, and know that not everybody's steps are always going to be the same. Everybody's different. They've got different Numident reports.
Well, you remember years ago, for example, Keith, that I was posting. I remember I was posting on my page and stuff, and I was showing people, like, for example, online, to where, you know, I'm the creditor, they're my debtors and stuff like that. But I also showed, for example, people, and that's that one right there reminds me. That's supposed to be public. It's supposed to be kept public all time, and even now. But now the way they've done it is they stopped it after I showed thousands of people on Facebook and other places, because so many people went to my page on there on the Georgia Superior Court Clerks Cooperative Authority.org. So they shut it down from people even seeing it. So now only one email at a time can go through, and then after one email looks at it, no more. You got to get another email and go look at it if you want to see it again.
Wow.
It's insane. But another thing I should mention too is when I started telling people about, you know, the DMM 122.32 and show them, see, for instance, I went to the, years ago, you remember I was telling you, I went to the post office and with a contract to them for 122.32, in which I wrote up saying that, you know, letting them know that I'm not a DC resident, in other words, you know, and all those stipulations on that. I've sent it to you before. I'm not sure if you remember it, but anyway, they changed that whole thing over after I started showing people. It's now DMM 602 dot something. I don't even know now. So yeah, they change all types of stuff. Yeah. And one last note here. It's also a reminder, for example, when they blew up the World Trade Centers and did that, they moved the United States of America Incorporated over to Puerto Rico, and they exchanged it with Homeland Security Incorporated. That should have given people a gigantic, huge clue. And who took over the whole security at all airports and so forth? Homeland Security Incorporated. This is how they constantly change over chess pieces and hide this and hide that and so forth. So, okay, sorry. Go
Yep. Yeah, well, you make a good point there, and that's exactly what I mean. That's why we've got to stay on top of this. We've got to keep track of this stuff. We've got to know why it's being done, and that's a perfect example of a possibility why that 26 million came up missing.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean, they had to afford the move and reconstruction or whatnot, underground facility, whatever. I don't know. Don't call me a conspiracy theorist. I'm just conjecturing and imagining.
Black budget projects, you know, MIC.
Yeah. We've got a buddy that's in one of our other groups that his wife has got 10 instances of identity theft at $699,000 each.
Oh,
wow.
That from the looks of things was the CIA using it for basically moving drug money in and out of stuff.
You know, I looked at this guy. That reminds me because I looked at this guy's paperwork.
Uh-oh. Did we lose Sean?
Home and land. And foreclosing on him. But they created the security note for $523 million in something, you know.
Holy crap.
So essentially, when they went to go get them foreclosure, they were looking for a judgment on $500 million.
Yeah, and when you're, but they're not going to tell you that, and that's underneath. But the thing about it is that I told him he needs to go and get the securitized going. How do you put this? Through the FTC and the SEC, go do a claim on that.
Yeah,
you know. And I think it's through the one of them is the 1083, I believe it is, or something like that. Too many numbers to remember, but I believe so. That's one of them. But there's many other ones. I think that 1083 is $10,000 and up, and that's way above that level. But yeah, there's so many things you could get them with. There's one thing that we need to work on, and that is. As we know, the government and the police, the sheriff, whatever, they're all policing themselves. And they need to be held accountable. And we need to start doing that in so many different ways. And the 1083 is one of them, but it goes vast and far beyond, you know. We spoke about this many times, from the IRS to the SEC and the FTC and, you know.
Yep. Yeah, you said it perfectly too. We've got to start being accountable. That means we've got to start being the one making the accounts. We've got to start doing the recording. We have to be the keeper of records. Yes, we have to be keeper of records with the correct information. So we have to know that information. It means we've got to do our research and correct the record.
Right. Well, you know, it's just like the police too and so forth. They talk about, you know, well, we're doing a what? Internal investigation, which means they're policing themselves. This isn't right. It shouldn't be done. We should be policing them.
Exactly. They have, it comes down to the common law right to confront your accusers. If you make an accusation, you have the right to do the investigation.
And we, the people, are the actual government.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, remember that, people. They don't give any powers unless we extend them. And when we come to the point in age where we realize they've been extending them, it's our duty to act as an adult. If that's what we really think we are, we need to act as an adult. And like I said, take that sovereignty back as the individual. I'm not accountable to anybody, so I guarantee you my signature.
Keith, will you please drop the word adult? Adult means adulterous. What you need to do is act like a man.
Well,
behave like a man, yes.
Adult actually means adult, A-D-O-L-T, which is an idiot.
Not too bright. Yep.
Yeah.
And you remember we were talking about children. I said I talked about chilled, C-H-I-L-L-E-D, in a frozen form. And then Ren means the best you could ever be in your life, or something like that. When I looked up in old text,
is that what you're saying in the word adult? Adult?
Yeah.
No,
a stupid adult. A D-O-L-T.
Adult means?
Yeah. Well, wait a minute. A-D-O-L-T. Yes, is a dullard, and equity will not aid the dullard. But
What?
adult, ADULT, comes back from adulteress or adulterer, and that is to mangle, to adulterize something is to mangle it.
Actually, an adult is a actual adult, a stupid, someone that's stupid and foolish or what have you. But we could also look at what you reminded me of something right there. What is license? A license makes you what? Licentious. Now look up the word licentious.
Yep. And we have to remember too, people, there's aspects of the phonemes and graphemes that change things around, like I said earlier. When we look at certain particular words, particularly in English, we realize that there are many words that are spelled the same but sound different and somehow mean different things. And there are other words that are spelled differently.
Compound words as well.
Or the letter so-and-so is silent.
Exactly.
Well, take that, like Cat Williams said, well, take that silent motherfucker out then.
I before E except after C, and why is it K-E-I-T-H?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, folks, it's getting on to 9:30. I appreciate everybody stopping by. I did drop a link in there for my PayPal account. If you guys feel anywhere gracious at all, please, I would appreciate it. In the meantime, like I said earlier, this is one of those things I'm going to do every Thursday night, a live meeting to discuss the process as I go along. So hopefully by next Thursday, I'll have my something done in regards to the Numident report, retrieving that so we can go over it.
Hey, Keith.
Meantime, remember, if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be doing this. God bless.
Hey, man. Go get your certificate of live birth authenticated, 4 or 5 of them, so we can do business.
Will do. Will do. Will do. All right.
I've got mine authenticated myself.
I've got 2.
I'm not allowing anyone to authenticate it. I'm going to authenticate it. I'm the author.
Signature guaranteed, brother.
I'm the author. So, and the
what do you got there, Stephen? Yours is authenticated, full faith and credit? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, me too, man.
To whom these presents may come.
I have 3 of them sitting in my back pocket, too. One of them I carry 24/7. Now I've got to take one and turn it into a ranch for my wife.
There you go, brother.
I have the aspiration and nativity, since my mother was there and she had full knowledge. Yeah. So
aren't you supposed to keep the originals authenticated, fully authenticated?
No, the originals.
That's what you want to turn in as the original security for discharge. Okay. For everything that's been discharged, expunging of record, everything.
I thought you'd use certified.
You're going to correct that Numident record, and that means transferring all those funds that were errantly deposited.
Now, where are you going, for example, to get your Numident before you go?
There's a form you fill out and send it to the Social Security Administration.
Okay, because I haven't heard of that one.
COLB should we have fully authenticated COLBs? I've got 2.
Well, see that's what I wondered about.
I've got 2 of those and like 6 certified. Not that it matters. I can get more. You know.
That link is 1.
Oh, okay, that's when you put that one in. All right, got you. So that's emancipation. Social Security record request. So you remember me telling you also that you remember when I think it was when you turned 17 here, you're supposed to go and fill out the Social Security form to get your Social Security number back then, and also sign up for selective service. Remember I was telling you that, Keith?
Yep.
And then I told my dad. My dad's like, you need to go up there and you need to go to the post office and fill out for your Social Security number and your selective service and all that crap. I said, I'm not going up there, and I didn't go. And so he went up there to the damn post office and put that shit out for me and signed my name, man.
Right. Yeah.
shit, that's fucked up.
Hey, well, that's a contract that you can just say, I didn't sign that, boy.
Exactly.
Yeah, you weren't a party to it, so.
Well, not like that, but up until the age of 18, after 18, you can renege on any contract that was made while you were a child or made by somebody else as an unconscionable contract.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point in time, though, how does it get proven that, no, it was not me? And I don't know. Just
By signature.
Actually,
by signature.
Hey,
the
guys.
date is all that matters.
Attestation.
All right, guys. I'm gonna head out, but I'm gonna give you one quick little bombshell, help open you things up in your mind here in regards to the Numident, and that is the live born statement done on the correct side of the name change. Decedent Numident, non-decedent Numident. You have that non-decedent Numident. You don't need a passport.
No shit.
Create your own passport. Got it?
So I got something that would be something superior to U.S.
What? What are you saying there, bro?
What he's saying is go and get the name change. Deal with correcting the name decree.
And that's senior to passports. That's senior.
Remember, I said earlier that in Iowa, the law reads that you have to have a birth certificate. You have to present your birth certificate with the name change in order for the court to accept it as an order. It's got to you got to have two verifying documents. Okay. And so those are your two verifying documents, which is the same element that you need when you use a U.S. passport and need a visa to go to a country.
What is the second one besides the COLB? You were saying?
The decree.
Your decree,
yeah.
your name change decree. You're saying this is the elements of the identification. I'm showing my separation.
Oh, I thought you were saying actually to get the name decree. My bad. Okay.
No. You have to present the birth certificate with the name change decree for the court to accept it as that order.
Okay. So now, when you're doing the name change decree, for example, you're changing that from the all caps form, for example, to the first letter lowercase and the rest. First capitalized and then rest lowercase, right?
They call it proper name form. Yes.
Yeah,
right.
Proper name. Okay.
Proper case.
Yeah. If you go back to 1813-41, 1813-42, it deals. They actually specifically say when you're dealing with mail fraud, as an example, the proper name form is the Christian form.
Right.
And if you send any mail or you accept any mail that's in the corporate form, you have either committed mail fraud as the sender or mail fraud as the receiver. So I take everything that comes from them that's in the corporate form and I fill out, I'll share it with everybody next week. A document that basically I show where they've committed the mail fraud on it. I photocopy it on the back. I give it to the postmaster. He clicks a couple of the form that has not been opened and it's been returned to return the sender or investigation. And then I send a copy of that back to the court. You committed mail fraud.
Yeah, I was trying to think of the name. I remember somebody doing those. It was a letter of something, but I can't remember the correction or something like that. Is that right?
Affidavit of correcting the record.
Something like that, yeah.
That's my intent on my record.
Yeah.
Because see, Sean, what I did when if you go back and review when I first started this stuff, guys, about 4 years ago, I was handwriting my own documents on lined paper and handing it in, and the court accepted it. Okay, they've taken it and they filed it. It's on file. And then as I progressed, I started printing them off on the computer by typing them up. As I advanced more and more, I come to realize that the birth certificate is important. I never got it authenticated, but it was one that I've held since 1998. Now, on the day of sentencing, I handed in 4 documents: the name change, the statutory declaration of true name, foreign status, power of attorney, and age of maturity. Now, along with that, I had that birth certificate of live birth, and I handed it all in. The court has the instrument. Now, the intent was discharge. Now, whether they realize that or not, they should. They're knowing in law. I gave them an instrument, and they knew the intent.
So Keith, you need to basically do a writ of replevin to get back your property. When they don't give you back your property, you can then basically put whatever value you want on that property and lien their asses up.
And property being the bonds and so forth underneath, and everything upon the cases,
And
right?
proof that that's the originating bond, and they don't have any claim to it.
And all accounting. And
Right.
you know what, the thing about it, I wonder if it's like kind of like the whole thing of you know, when you buy a house or a car, what have you, you're never going to get that original wedding signature because it's already been sold off, you know.
Right. Yep.
Well, the
So anyway, guys.
Good night.
Yeah, I gotta get, guys.
All right, brother.
Thanks for joining me.
Talking.
Hopefully we'll see everybody next Thursday. And in the meantime, keep an eye out on my Facebook page. I might do some pop-up Zooms here and there on other things.
Cool.
Yep.
All right. Good looking out.